Nail biting. Ever caught yourself gnawing on your nails like they're a free buffet, even when you're in the middle of a job interview, risking a splinter in your tongue or a judgmental stare from your boss? It's that relentless itch you can't scratch away, a habit that's chewed its way into the lives of millions, turning perfectly good fingernails into jagged edges and leaving a trail of regret in its wake. Fun fact: nail biting, or onychophagia, affects up to 30% of people worldwide. And it's not just a nervous tic, it's often tied to stress, boredom, or even genetics, making it as addictive as a late-night snack you know you shouldn't have. Imagine sitting in a high-stakes meeting, your fingers creeping up to your mouth like stealthy thieves, while everyone else is focused on the presentation. You've tried every trick in the book: coatings that taste like bitter chemicals, fidget toys that end up forgotten in your pocket, but nothing sticks. This habit doesn't just wreck your nails, it can lead to infections, dental issues, and even skin problems around the cuticles. Relatable example: think about that time you were waiting for a doctor's appointment, anxiety bubbling up, and suddenly your nails were shorter by half an inch. It's like your brain hits an autopilot button, overriding all logic. And the cycle continues, because who hasn't felt that momentary relief, only to be followed by the sting of embarrassment when you glance at your hands? But here's the kicker: studies show that cognitive behavioral therapy can help break it. Yet so many of us just keep biting, trapped in this endless loop of annoyance. Would you believe some people bite so habitually that they've worn down their teeth, turning a simple bad habit into a full-blown health hazard? It's frustrating, it's common, and it's one of those things you swear you'll stop tomorrow right after this one last nibble. Pen clicking. Ever been in a quiet library or a tense meeting when that rhythmic click-click-click of a pen starts echoing like a drum roll from hell, making everyone around you want to scream? It's that compulsive fidget that's as irritating as a dripping faucet, a habit that turns a simple writing tool into a symphony of annoyance for anyone within earshot. Fun fact: pen clicking is a form of stimming, often linked to ADHD or anxiety, affecting up to 5–10% of adults as a way to release pent-up energy or focus the mind, though it drives the rest of us up the wall. Picture this: you're trying to concentrate on an important email, and your colleague across the table is clicking away like they're conducting an invisible orchestra, each click stabbing at your patience. You've probably done it yourself, absent-mindedly turning a ballpoint pen into a percussion instrument, only to get that side-eye from others. Relatable example: remember being in school, that kid in class who clicked their pen nonstop during tests, making you lose your train of thought and nearly flunk the exam? It's not just rude, it can disrupt productivity, increase stress for those around you, and even lead to repetitive strain injuries in your fingers if you're at it for hours. Humorously enough, some folks click pens as a stress reliever, but it's like using a jackhammer to fix a leaky pipe, overkill and messy. Experts suggest swapping it for quieter alternatives, like a stress ball or a silent fidget spinner, but let's face it, in the heat of the moment, that click feels oh so satisfying. And the worst part? It's contagious. One person starts, and suddenly the whole room is at it, turning a productive session into a cacophony. Would you risk alienating your coworkers just for that fleeting sense of control? It's one of those habits that's easy to start but hard to stop, proving that sometimes the smallest actions can create the biggest ripples of irritation. Hair-twirling. Ever found your fingers tangled in your hair like they're on a mission to create knots, even during a serious conversation, leaving you looking like you just stepped out of a wind tunnel? It's that mindless twist and pull that's as habitual as breathing, a habit that can turn luscious locks into a frizzled mess and drive you nuts with the constant distraction. Fun fact: hair twirling, or trichotillomania in its extreme form, affects about 1–2% of the population, often starting in childhood as a self-soothing mechanism linked to anxiety or boredom. And it can escalate to actual hair pulling if not checked. Imagine you're on a first date, trying to make a good impression, but your hand keeps migrating to your hair, twirling it into oblivion while you stumble over your words. Relatable example: think back to those long Zoom calls during the pandemic, where you'd absent-mindedly twist your hair into tiny ropes, only to realize later that you've created a bird's nest on one side of your head. This habit isn't just annoying, it can lead to hair breakage, scalp irritation, and even bald patches in severe cases, yet it's so automatic that you barely notice until someone points it out. Humorously, some people treat it like a built-in toy, twirling away during boring meetings as if their hair is the star of the show. Therapists recommend awareness techniques, like wearing your hair up or using a hair tie as a reminder, but the allure of that silky strand between your fingers is hard to resist. And let's not forget the social fallout, friends rolling their eyes or partners gently untangling your fingers, all while you're lost in your own world. Would you give up your go-to stress reliever if it meant smoother hair and fewer awkward moments? It's a habit that's as common as it is exasperating, proving that our bodies have a funny way of seeking comfort in the most inconvenient places. Leg shaking. Ever sat in a chair, your leg bouncing like it's got a mind of its own, turning you into a human earthquake and annoying everyone nearby with the constant vibration? It's the jittery rhythm that's impossible to ignore, a habit that signals restlessness but ends up shaking up more than just your energy levels. Fun fact, leg shaking, often called restless leg syndrome in medical terms, impacts around 10% of people and is frequently tied to caffeine intake, anxiety, or even nutrient deficiencies like low iron, making it a widespread fidget that's hard to pin down. Picture this scenario. You're in a movie theater, finally settled in for a blockbuster, but your leg starts its involuntary dance, thumping against the seat and earning glares from the person behind you. Relatable example. Recall that office meeting where you were supposed to be the picture of calm, but your leg was shaking so hard it looked like you were trying to start a car engine, distracting you and everyone else from the agenda. This habit doesn't just rattle chairs, it can lead to fatigue in your muscles, disrupt concentration, and even contribute to poor posture over time. On the lighter side, some folks joke that it's like having an internal metronome, keeping time to an invisible beat, but when it's nonstop, it's anything but funny. Strategies to curb it include deep breathing exercises or cutting back on coffee, yet in the throes of stress, that leg just won't stop. Humorously, I've heard of people tying their shoelaces tighter to halt the shake, only to end up with numb feet. Talk about trading one annoyance for another. Would you trade your leg shaking for a more zen vibe if it meant better focus and fewer complaints? It's one of those habits that feels productive in the moment but leaves you wondering why you can't just sit still. Interrupting conversations. Ever jumped in mid-sentence during a chat, cutting someone off like a red light you just ignored, leaving conversations in chaos and relationships strained? It's that impulsive urge to speak first, a habit that's as rude as it is reflexive, turning discussions into a verbal free-for-all. Fun fact, interrupting is often a symptom of high-energy personalities or conditions like ADHD, affecting up to 15% of adults, and it's rooted in excitement or anxiety rather than malice. But it still ranks high on the annoyance scale. Imagine you're sharing a story with friends, building up to the punchline, only for someone to butt in with their own tale, derailing your moment and making you feel invisible. Relatable example. Think about family dinners where everyone's talking over each other, your words getting lost in the shuffle because interrupting has become the norm, leading to arguments and hurt feelings. This habit doesn't just derail talks. It can damage trust, reduce effective communication, and even make you seem less likable in professional settings. Lightheartedly, some interrupters defend it as enthusiasm, like they're too passionate to wait their turn. But let's be real, it's like trying to watch a movie with constant ad breaks. Experts suggest active listening techniques, such as pausing before speaking or repeating what the other person said, to break the cycle. But in the heat of debate, that filter just vanishes. Would you rein in your impulses if it meant deeper connections and smoother interactions? It's a habit that's easy to overlook in yourself but infuriating in others, highlighting how our need for expression can sometimes overshadow basic courtesy. Phone scrolling. Ever pulled out your phone in a social setting, scrolling endlessly like it's a portal to endless distraction, ignoring the world around you and fueling that addictive pull? It's that gravitational force toward your screen, a habit that's turned us all into zombies, missing out on real-life moments while our thumbs do the walking. Fun fact, excessive phone scrolling contributes to digital dementia, with studies showing that over 50% of people check their phones within 5 minutes of waking, often linked to social media addiction that rewires our brains for constant stimulation. Picture this. You're at a dinner party, surrounded by friends, but your phone is in your hand, scrolling through feeds and missing the laughter and stories unfolding right in front of you. Relatable example. Remember those times you meant to have a quick check but ended up lost in a vortex of videos and updates, only snapping out of it when someone calls your name, feeling that pang of guilt? This habit doesn't just waste time. It can lead to sleep issues, eye strain, and even strained relationships as people feel neglected. Humorously, it's like your phone has a magnetic field, pulling you in despite your best intentions, turning productive evenings into mindless marathons. To combat it, try apps that lock your screen or set phone-free zones, but the siren call of notifications is tough to resist. Would you commit to a digital detox if it meant reclaiming your attention and presence? It's one of those modern habits that's annoyingly pervasive, proving that in our connected world, disconnection is the real challenge. All right, folks, you've just journeyed through the minefield of those pesky habits we can't seem to shake: nail biting, pen clicking, and more. If this hit home and made you chuckle or cringe, do me a favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your own annoying habit, subscribe for more real talk content, and share this with someone who needs a wake-up call. Let's turn these insights into action your future self will thank you.